In the years right after World War II, something really strange started happening. Not just in the skies, but on the ground, too. All of a sudden, there was this explosion of UFO encounters all over the globe. They left behind this legacy of stories that are just baffling, sometimes terrifying, and occasionally pretty incredible. Now, we're not here to prove or disprove any of it. Instead, we're just going to dive into the phenomenon itself, using Timothy Good's massive collection of research in Alien Base as our guide. A French researcher, A.M. Michel, he really hit the nail on the head when he called the whole thing a festival of absurdities. And honestly, that's the perfect way to look at what we're about to explore. It's this collection of incredibly detailed, seemingly sincere accounts that just completely contradict each other. It's a puzzle where none of the pieces seem to fit. All right, so let's start with the encounters themselves, because the range of interactions people reported is just staggering. It swings from one extreme to the other, from terrifyingly hostile to, well, bizarrely friendly. And this is where that festival of absurdities really kicks off. Let's go to Brazil, 1946. We're in a tiny town with no electricity. A farmer, João Prestes Filho, is coming home from a fishing trip. He goes to open a window, and in that instant, his entire world is shattered by this powerful, totally silent beam of light. He's stunned, terrified, and he just runs for help. What happens next is straight out of a horror movie. According to several witnesses, Prestes's body began to just decompose gruesomely while he was still alive. But here's the detail that's just bone-chilling. The report says that through this whole horrific process, he felt absolutely no pain. He was dead in a matter of hours. Okay, now let's completely switch gears. 3 years later, we're at the White Sands Proving Grounds in New Mexico, this hub of advanced military tech. A rocket engineer named Daniel Fry misses his bus home, so he decides to take a walk in the desert. And that's when he stumbles upon this landed, egg-shaped craft. So Fry gets closer, he's about to touch the thing, and a voice just booms out of nowhere, warning him that it's still hot. After he stumbles back, the same unseen voice says this. So how do you even begin to square that? You've got flesh melting off bones in Brazil, and then you have this casual, take it easy, pal, in the New Mexico desert. The contrast is it's completely baffling. So if the encounters themselves were all over the map, what about the visitors? Well, this is where the story gets even weirder. The descriptions of the beings are just as varied, just as contradictory as their actions. I mean, just look at the range here. On one hand, you have reports of beings that are totally indistinguishable from us. Tall, handsome, well-dressed people who could just blend right into any city. And on the other hand, you get reports of little 4-foot-tall beings in tinfoil suits, hairy, ape-like creatures, and even dwarfs. There is no single alien archetype here, not even close. Let's take a look at one of these human-like types. This sketch was made by a witness in France. She claimed 4 tall, handsome, blonde-haired beings just appeared in her bedroom. She said they were polite, she wasn't scared, they even shook her hand before they left. And according to a lot of these accounts, beings that looked just like this were already living among us. So, which is it? Are they short and ape-like, or are they over 2 meters tall with pale white skin? Are they pygmies in silver suits, or are they shaved monkeys, which is how one alleged military report described them? Remember that researcher, Aimé Michel? He called it a plethora of craft in their occupants, and you can really see why. This total lack of a consistent profile is one of the biggest puzzles of the whole phenomenon. Okay, so if we can't pin down what they looked like, maybe we can find a pattern in their purpose. Why were they here? Well, if you look across dozens and dozens of these contactee reports, a few themes keep popping up, painting a picture of some kind of grand cosmic mission. There's this one theme that cuts through so many of these accounts: humanity's knack for self-destruction, especially after we invented the atomic bomb. So the alleged agenda had a few different parts. They were here to monitor our weapons, maybe offer some help, and even infiltrate our societies to guide us. But more than anything, they were here to deliver a warning. And their backstories were just as varied as their appearances. Some claimed to be survivors of a planetary disaster from ages ago. Others were cosmic nomads living on these gigantic city-sized ships. Some said they were ancient colonists who came here long ago, while others claimed they had bases right under our noses, on the moon, and deep in our own oceans. And this is the message that really cuts through all the noise. This quote,
It's from an alleged encounter in 1962, and it just perfectly captures the warning that was given in so many of these cases. It's this stark prophecy about our own greed and our capacity for self-destruction. It's a call for us to change our ways, before it's too late.
So, where does all of this leave us? Well, when you take a step back from all the individual stories, a different kind of pattern starts to show up. And it's not in the aliens or the ships, it's in the human experience of these events. It doesn't matter what country or what decade, the aftermath for the witnesses is remarkably consistent. There's this deep fear of ridicule that keeps a lot of them silent for years, even decades. And the ones who do speak out, they often face real consequences: harassment, losing their jobs. It seems like official investigations happen, but then they just vanish behind a wall of secrecy. And for the person at the center of it all, the event leaves a permanent mark, either deep trauma or this life-changing sense of awe. And this really brings us to the central paradox of the whole thing. It's so easy to just dismiss these stories as fantasies. But what do you do with the witnesses? We're not talking about just random tall tales. We're talking about farmers, engineers, police officers, military pilots, people who have everything to lose and, it seems, absolutely nothing to gain by telling stories that are this incredible. In the end, this source material, it doesn't give us any clean answers. Not at all. Instead, what it leaves us with is this profound puzzle. You've got this huge collection of detailed, emotional, and sincere testimonies that, when you put them all together, they just can't all be true. Not literally. They contradict each other at almost every single turn. Which brings us right back to our final question. Are we just looking at a festival of absurdities, like Aimé Michel said? Was this just some strange mid-century cultural moment of mass delusion and fabrication? Or are these thousands of contradictory stories all echoes, these distorted reflections of something real, something profound, and something truly beyond our ability to comprehend? The puzzle, it seems, endures.